everyone, and welcome back to What a Barb, a Polin podcast. I'm Odds, and this week I'm joined by Lecky, Veg and Beans as we take a break from our Polin rewatch of season 2 and bring you something a little bit different for today.
Should we start with a question?
Lecky, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I had a really busy day yesterday. I went to a wedding, and
Love. You went to a wedding.
Yeah, but forget the wedding. On the way home, I was so
forget the wedding.
I was so sleepy. I was doing that thing where like you're starting to fall asleep, but you still have like thoughts in your head, and so like my brain was like thinking a sentence, but in the middle of the sentence, like my brain supplied the word plonkers and then just like carried on talking, and it took me a couple seconds, and then I like bolted like upright, just like laughing. I woke up immediately because I was like, what the fuck does plonkers mean?
What a plonker.
That's great.
And then obs, you supplied the definition.
What a plonker.
Yes, I didn't realize that it was actually a thing.
It's a British thing. It's only fools and horses, which I don't know if you lot have.
So I guess that's what I was dreaming about.
I had a dream about Costco.
Oh.
I was walking around Costco and I bought a big tub of aniseed balls, and that was the extent of the dream.
I didn't know that you guys had Costco. That was surprising to me.
Costco's international.
Is that?
Yeah, so when I was like with my ex and we were in Korea, they had a Costco in Korea, and I would go there whenever I would miss like certain American foods. Yeah.
Beans, have you had any prophetic dreams?
Prophetic dreams. I actually didn't have a dream last night for like the first time in like 3 or 4 months.
Oh my god, that's like when the canary stops singing.
I was going to say, I slept for more than 7 hours last night for maybe the first time in months.
Whoa, that's excellent news.
When you said 8 hours, I honestly did not believe you.
Like we say, we've got a bit of a different episode for you today, but before we begin and jump in answering some questions, Lecky, take us through the breaking crumbs of the week.
Before we get to our pre-recorded crumbs, I'm interrupting this broadcast to bring you a real live emergency crumb. As you might have seen on Friday, Digital Spy released an article with Adjoa Ando, who plays Lady Danbury, seemingly confirming that Season 3 will be released next year. In the article, Adjoa is quoted as saying, "Season 3 will be coming out next year. That's been in the can for a while, and with each season, the show gets slightly more fabulous, it gets more complex. As you can imagine, this has sent us all spiraling, and we still don't know what next year really means. It could be January, it could be April, who knows? And while this information has come from Adjoa, it's still not official news until we hear it directly from either Netflix or Shondaland, or perhaps Lady Whistledown herself, as Nicholas suggested at Todoom, especially given how up in the air everything is with the strikes. We'll discuss this more in next week's Crumbs when we've had time to really process everything and maybe gather more information, but until then, we urge you all, do not panic. If there is a longer wait ahead of us, then we'll make it through together somehow. And remember, always clown responsibly. Now, back to our regularly scheduled Crumbs.
Okay, Lecky, what have you got for us?
Hello, Barbkin. First up, a fan on Twitter shared their meeting with Julia Quinn at a recent event. Julia claimed she doesn't know the Season 3 release date, but she said she has seen the first episode and Polin fans will love it. Julia also once again confirmed that there are more lines from the book in Season 3, so we're all busy guessing just what those will be. I personally would like the line where Penn says that Colin could get away with murder, but I fear we might not get it since it might encourage Colin to actually take care of Penn's suitors instead of letting himself be romanced.
Can't give him too much help.
Shondaland are running a giveaway for a copy of the World of Bridgerton jigsaw puzzle. The giveaway closes on Sunday, the 8th of October, and is only open to US residents, but you can find more info on their Instagram page. Nicola Coughlan will be appearing in the Apple TV Plus original special, The Velveteen Rabbit, starring as the Playroom Fairy.
Coincidentally, the same role that Penelope has been playing in Colin Bridgerton's subconscious since childhood, I quite think.
Yes. Speaking of Nicola, both she and Simone Ashley attended the final few days of Paris Fashion Week and both looked incredible. In other cast news, fans in the UK and Europe, you only have a few days left to catch Luke Thompson's play A Little Life, which is currently screening in cinemas in the following countries: the UK, Australia, Austria, Denmark, Finland, Germany, Ireland, the Netherlands, New Zealand, Norway, Poland, Sweden, and Switzerland. That's quite a list there.
Take a deep breath. So for those interested in catching the screenings, just a reminder that we'd strongly recommend that you check the content warnings beforehand. They're all available on the website, but definitely worth checking out before you decide whether you're going to go see it or not.
Yeah.
And the final showings are on the 11th of October. But I did see A Little Life when it was on in London, and it was incredible. So if you can go and you'd like to go, definitely don't miss out.
Good opportunity if you live in one of those many countries. Catherine Drysdale's new movie, I Am Urban, recently premiered in London. The film will be screening in the UK in November, so we'll keep you updated when we get more information about that. Rosa Hesmanalch, who we suspect will be playing Penelope's new maid in season 3, can be seen in episode 2 of The Long Shadow, streaming in the UK on ITVX. Elsewhere, India Armatifio and Charithra Chandran both starred in a music video together for the song Mosquito by Pink Pantheress. Reminder for those who missed Crumbs last week or are forgetful, Phoebe Dynevor's film Fair Play also released yesterday on Netflix. And lastly, to get us in the spooky mood for October, Chris Bowers' original score for Disney's Haunted Mansion movie is available to stream, so go check that out. I love the fall season.
This is your season, isn't it?
Yes. For my fellow Americans, we're trying to convince Obs to watch Hocus Pocus for the first time, so...
Maybe if you call it autumn, we'll settle.
In strike news, the SAG-AFTRA negotiating committee met with the AMPTP for talks on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, with plans to resume negotiations on Monday, October 9th. It has been reported that studio CEOs have been in attendance at the meetings, which we're tentatively hoping is a good sign. Monday is also the date the WGA will be holding their vote to ratify the agreement they struck with the AMPTP, which is expected to pass by an overwhelming majority, according to Deadline. The SAG-AFTRA negotiating committee also joined the picket lines on Wednesday, telling members, we're going to bring this home. Many WGA members have also continued to voice their support and show solidarity by picketing with SAG, who have also been encouraging their own members to keep showing up at the picket lines. If you remember, the WGA released similar statements to their members when they were close to hammering out a deal, perhaps to put more pressure on the AMPTP, but we will also take this as an encouraging sign. In letter news, it has been almost one whole year since we caught our first ever glimpse of what we believe to be blowed up Pen. Avid Crumbs gatherers may remember the filming leaks from Rust Park last year, in which we think you can just about make out Penelope dressed in a Bridgerton blue dress, standing alongside her family, and Lord Debling, we think.
Clowning to the highest degree.
This was an extremely exciting time for Polin fans last year, and we've spent many happy hours squinting at those blue pixels, so I thought it would be a nice memory to bring up before we head into the episode.
Oh, it was a great time, that wasn't it, that day of Blue Pen? I'm still convinced it's her. I mean, it is her.
No, it's 100% her. I've pored over the video frame by frame. It's her hair, it's her stature. I will admit that I initially mistook her for, I think I said you were like the little girl in the blue dress.
We were trying to figure out if Pen was in this footage that we'd found.
Right.
And Lecky, you messaged me. Because we'd figured out that Polly Walker was Portia. We figured out she was in the footage, and we figured out
and Bessie Carter.
that Bessie Carter was there, and we were like, Pen must be there.
You couldn't see the figure behind them, who we think is Harriet Kane's, Philippa. But then I said something about...
You said, look near the little girl in blue. And I was like, Penelope is the little girl in blue. And you were
so I unintentionally
insulting our Pen. She looks incredible.
She does.
If you want to know which filming leaks we're talking about, send us a DM on Instagram and we'll happily clown away the day with you.
Yeah.
As with all our favourite filming leaks, though, the photos are incredibly blurry, so get ready to squint, and there's every chance we're spiralling over nothing.
Yes, as always.
But it passes the time. A whole year.
Yeah.
Look, it passes a whole year.
To be honest, the Rest Park date was one of my favorites. I really hope we get to cover that in Crumbs, because that was such a fun night.
Yeah, that was a great time.
Anyway.
There's only one thing for it, Lecky.
Yep.
Can I ask you a question? So we asked our friends over on Instagram to send us some questions, and you well and truly came through for us. Thank you so much. When we originally had the plan for this episode, it was just us trying to come up with very pathetic questions, and you asked way better questions than we ever could, so we appreciate it. And if we don't get around to answering your questions today, it might be because we either combine questions, we have or are planning on answering them in one of our rewatch episodes, or we ran out of time. So sorry. But if you like this episode, and if the coming weeks continue marching on without us, then maybe we'll do a part 2 to this Q&A. But to ease us in, one of our listeners asked us the question, which Bridgerton sibling is most similar to you? But I'm going to add that with a caveat of, which Bridgerton sibling do the others think that the others are like? Do you know the easiest one I'm going to start with? The easiest person, I think Beans, you're the easiest one to pin down.
Me? Why? Who do you think I am?
You are the Benedict of the group.
I could see that.
You're really funny. You're super lighthearted.
Yeah.
But if Beans gets serious, we know that shit's hit the fan. And we go to Beans when we need counselling or when we need to speak.
That's so true.
It's you're the really lighthearted one.
Yeah.
But like Ben, if you suddenly get a serious act on, then we're like, oh, and we pay attention and we turn to you. So you're 100% Benedict.
Yeah, that works.
Oh, okay. When I did the test, though, I got Colin.
Oh,
on BuzzFeed or whatever.
You have Colin dashes.
You have a sprinkle, you know.
Ooh, and like Benedict, you're our resident artist responsible for all of our lovely collages.
Oh, for the user who asked, Beans, I am the one that does the collages for the show, but for the past 2 weeks while I was not here, Ovs and Lecky stepped in and did them for me.
Attempted to step in.
There's a lot of divide and conquer with.
You guys did a great job.
Let's pay tribute to Beans and her lovely, lovely artwork. It was an honor to even attempt to measure up to your standards.
You guys did a great job. Stop. Anyway, yeah, veg. What would veg be?
So, I do let very minor dresses go to my head a lot, which makes me think I have some Anthony tendencies, but also he has his shit together.
You are an earth sign.
I'm an earth sign. I definitely don't connect to Colin, as we know.
As we know.
No, stop it.
The tracks.
I don't know how she got on the podcast. I don't know. It's under review.
Yes, I think I am Anthony.
I think you're Anthony. Maybe sprinkle with a bit of Francesca. Because what I'd maybe say, if we were talking about Bridgerton characters, I'd maybe align you more with Penelope, but we can't include Pen in this. You're Anthony with a side of Fran.
Yeah.
Frantony.
Frantony, there we go.
Cursed.
Lecky.
I've taken pretty much every what Bridgerton character are you quiz numerous times, but quite often I believe Obs also get Antony, so I think there's an element of
Anthony.
Anthony in me, maybe.
I am not like Anthony. You might be surprised. I don't know. Would you be surprised?
Who am I?
Lecky, you are our Colin. You cannot convince me otherwise.
I do feel a bit like Colin.
She is intuitive. She's a little water sign, like Colin is. She gets very upset if she thinks that she's upset someone. You will try and like fix everything straight away.
Yeah.
Also, talk about a hero complex. And this sounds really mean. I don't mean this in a mean way to you, Lecky.
Oh, I do have this. I'm a problem solver.
I get myself into like really sticky situations all the time. And then Lecky immediately, bearing in mind there's an ocean between us, will be like, I'll fix it. I'll help you. Not because you care about being a hero, but because you'd like to fix things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're so gentle-natured.
Especially for people that she cares about, too. Though.
Yeah.
Obs got lost trying to find some crumbs during filming, and I was trying from California to help her find like a way to get home. That was stressful.
You're trying to book me an Uber internationally.
Yeah. Who do you feel you're most like, Obs?
Yeah.
I know what you could think I'm going to say.
What?
I'm not like Colin, actually. I say this all the time, that I am. What I am, I'm in my Colin era. I'm in my Colin lost like a little ship sinking in the ocean, just been battered around from pillar to post. I'm in my travel Colin has no clue what's happening vibe.
Yeah.
But I'm not like Colin. He's too nice. I'm not nice enough to be Colin. Who do you think I'm like?
Who are you, Daff?
I think that
I
you're...
think there's a very obvious one.
Okay, go.
Eloise.
Eloise!
Yeah.
Okay.
If Eloise had Discord, her messages would look exactly like mine. I just said, do.
I feel like you're a strong mix of Eloise and Hyacinth, because you both are sassy, and Eloise is constantly running away from love, and then it's gonna hit her before she even knows what happens, and the same fucking thing's gonna happen to you.
Yes. Yeah, she's also extremely sarcastic.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Me. Okay, so we've got a Benedict, we've got an Elle, we've got Colin, and we've got an Anthony and Francesca. That feels good. We don't need
Nobody's Daphne.
No.
But everyone else is accounted for.
a quick fire round to stretchers to get us in. So I'm going to ask you a few questions. Just give your intuitive answers. Okay, kick us off. What two objects do you think are going to be in the title cards?
Two objects. Okay, so there's, just to clarify, there's already a carriage, right?
We've got the carriage.
Okay, mirror,
Map.
journal, mirror, journal, map.
I think they have like a book.
Okay, so yeah, I like map. I would say mirror for sure. Mirror.
Mirror's definitely making the cut.
Yeah.
Because we have the Lady Whistledown, that's already covered.
Yeah.
So Pen's already represented. The carriage is already there.
Quill?
Yes, I was thinking, quill or a journal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Something on the writing.
Maybe there'll be like a biscuit.
A
bench.
A pirate flag.
A pirate flag just
A
went.
half-eaten biscuit, like with a bite taken out of it.
Yeah.
Because the way it works, I know this is diving into it, but the way it works is one of the objects symbolises the sibling. So we had Daphne with the dance card and Anthony with his dad's pocket watch. And the other object symbolises the type of love. So we had the candles for I Burn For You, and we had the Pall Mall, which was the competitive edge. So the mirror would work for identity and stepping into the...
I think the mirror is their love, because they're mirrors of each other. And they see, they reflect the best in each other.
It's like your mom
and they need to see each other for who they really are.
My mirror's smoking back.
So that means the other object has to be Colin. So maybe some sort of like compass or sextant or map.
A compass. If it's a compass, my little Polin heart will just like explode, because she's the
You
compass.
will. She's just not... Okay, that's it. It has to be. We'll have a mirror and we'll have a compass, because she is his true north. Which scene from Romancing Mr. Bridgerton do you most want in season 3?
Carriage, but I mean, you mean besides the carriage scene?
What I'm most looking forward to seeing is not necessarily the scene as it is in the books, but more the moment and how the show interprets it. So in the books, Colin sort of realises that he loves Penelope after they argue about her releasing another issue of Lady Whistledown. That moment of him realising what love is, I think the show has built up what he thinks love is so much that I'm just really looking forward to how the show interprets the moment when he realises what love is, and that is what he feels for Penelope. And I hope it is an amazing moment, and I'm really excited to see it.
When Cressida announces that she is Lady Whistledown and Colin's holding her hand the whole time and he doesn't let it go. If they do the Cressida plotline, or they do some type of plotline, I need that to happen.
Like blackmail. Plan against the world.
Yeah.
I want Colin asking Violet and Portia, or telling them that they need to move up the wedding.
Whoa,
that's what I want.
Yeah.
I want Colin climbing into Pen's window, which doesn't happen in Romancing Mr. Bridgerton, but is alluded to by Eloise. It's hinted. And look, if the mirror can be hinted at and not shown, then I have just as much validity with wanting Colin climbing into her window.
I just think the hand scene would be perfect, because Bridgerton always has...
Beans, this ties into another quickfire question.
Go ahead.
One of our listeners asked us, what do you think the hand gesture in season 3 will be? Because we had one for both seasons. So we had Daphne and Simon with the artwork. And then, of course, as we discuss next week, we have Cantony in the near miss. So what's the hand gesture?
Yeah, if they do that holding hand scene, because it could also be like later in the episodes where there's like a lot of tension between Colin and Pen. And so like all of that shit happens. Colin's still holding her hand after, and everybody settles down and they're like talking to each other.
Yeah.
Pen looks down, Colin looks down, and he slowly releases his hand, and then he looks at it and then looks at her.
Yeah, I want him to grab her hand to offer her comfort and then not realize he's done it. Yes.
Because that's the thing that's unique with them, is that with the other two couples, it was very like near miss. And it was like the build-up of tension and like they haven't touched. But like Colin has held Pen's hand quite a few times by now.
Right.
So it's like we need to mix up the dynamic.
Yeah.
And so much of their relationship is like breaking down each other's boundaries and stuff like that. And they become more comfortable with each other, but like what
is the transition from friends to lovers? That's the hard bit to really break through.
So everything that he did before becomes 1,000 times more tense, because
and he'll become so hyper aware of it as well.
Yeah.
He'll be like, oh my god, my hands are sweaty, I'm gonna be near her. And it's like, you've been near her for the past 12 years.
I know.
Beans, a quick question for you to clear up for us. Will we see Marina this season? Someone has asked.
No, we will not see Marina this season. I believe Ruby Barker has actually stated that she won't be in this season as well. And for a while, we thought that we would see Philip, but it looks like we're not going to be seeing him either.
Yeah,
I still have my fingers crossed.
Oh, I so hope.
Yeah.
Everything is crossed.
So he wasn't seen filming, but that's not to say that he didn't pop into a studio or something.
Right.
Oh, yeah, because there's so much filming that we've no idea about. So
she officially confirmed that she would she would not be back for season 3. And then through all of the filming stuff, like there hasn't been any sights of her or anything. So I just kind of assumed, but who's to say she could show up in season 4 or 5?
Yeah.
Marina could get mentioned, but she's not going to appear. Yeah. Is probably the best way to... Philip, we are hoping for the best.
Yeah.
Would you rather spend a day at Featherington House or Bridgerton House?
I quite like potatoes, so I'll go for them.
I'm going to go Bridgerton. I want to be a part of the Bridgerton chaos.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with the Featheringtons because Portia has the gossip. And
that's true.
I think me and Veg will be there with Fife. We'll be sipping on our martinis.
Yes.
Taking in the citrus wallpaper.
Yeah.
I think I would also go Featherington just because I just love Portia.
I also love Portia, but I don't think she'd like me, so I don't want to be there.
Also, the thing is like, I don't know. I'd love to like gossip about the Bridgertons too.
I just genuinely don't think I would do that well in the Bridgerton family. I think I'd be Edwina in the game of Pall Mall. I'd just kind of be like awkwardly like, oh.
Do you know, a happy family is a bit of a foreign concept to me, so I wouldn't know what to do.
Well,
Right, okay, maybe that's...
I mean, same, but maybe that's why I want to be part of a happy family.
Oh, God.
Oh, God.
No.
Let's
Lucky!
keep the trauma.
It's not her fault. We started. You started it.
A slightly chunkier question, but keeping on the theme of the Bridgerton family and the sibling dynamics, we've got two kind of combined questions here. So we've been asked, what are your thoughts towards a bond between the third son and the third daughter, so Colin and Francesca? And then to follow on from that, which ties in quite well, since we know that Daphne won't be around, sadly Phoebe Dynevor has also confirmed she won't be returning for season 3, who is going to help Colin realise he loves Pen? Is it Violet, Ben? Could that also be Francesca? What do you think?
I'll tackle the first part.
Go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that Francesca and Colin will have a relationship this season because not only did they recast the actress, but I feel like their decision to recast the actress is that they need to start laying the groundwork for Fran's season. They need to start developing her character, and obviously she falls for and marries John this season. But yeah, I think that they need to develop her character as quickly as possible, and the way to do that is to give her screen time, and she can't just be with John the entire time. And this is Colin's season, so I think we'll have interactions between them.
Oh, it might be good for Colin to see a parallel of his sibling falling in love at the same time that he's also falling in love.
That would be beautiful.
Yeah.
Because in the books, obviously, the sibling dynamics are a bit different. For example, Eloise's favourite brother is Colin, but in the show, it's definitely not Colin. Yeah. And what they've done is seem to have paired them in age order. Yeah. So obviously, you have the close bond between Anthony and Daphne had a huge role in Colin's book, and they had a very, very close bond. Yeah. But you've got A and D, B and E, and the two youngest, Gregory and Hyacinth, Betsy, and that just leaves Colin and Francesca. And I think a lot of Colin's struggles as a character is really understanding his place within the family as the third son. And it's like, what better parallel for him to process that than with the third daughter? They both
fellow middle child.
And the middle child. And Francesca exists outside of the family in many ways.
It's just middle child syndrome. Yeah.
And I think Francesca has a really interesting perspective and it'll be like a quiet space for Colin. And like you say about them going on the journey at the same time, that might help Colin see something that he can't see in his own story. As for who's going to help Colin realise his love, I think it'll depend based on the stages. I think Benedict's going to have a very big role in helping him realise. Yeah. Francesca might help with the emotional side of it, so Ben can take the comedic aspect because he needs lightness in his story. And then I think Anthony will play a big role in the dramatic end part of the season because there's a lot of resolution that needs to go between their relationship.
Yeah. I think Vi will be helpful in some way, but will be more focused on Francesca. She always comes in for a conversation when there's been a huge blowout between the two main characters, right? Yeah. So it'll be something between there where she'll be like, oh, remember my marriage, you know? And I think on the opposite end of that, I think that Lady Danbury will also perhaps just give a one-liner to Colin. You know, she does that to literally everyone. She just gives a one-liner to them. So
she'd really cut through to him.
I'm kind of worried about Lady Danbury because of what happened in Queen Charlotte, and then rewatching 205 where she was discouraging Kate from interfering with Anthony and Edwina's relationship. There's a possibility they could go the opposite direction with Lady Danbury and have her like working against the main couple. I don't know, I'm kind of nervous about that, but we'll see what happens.
Well, one of the questions that we got was, how do you think Pen and Lady Danbury will become friends? And I suppose within that is, will they? I think that from Queen Charlotte we see that Lady Danbury would maybe see a lot of a younger self within Penelope, perhaps.
I do think there is a potential for Lady Danbury and Penelope to develop a relationship of some kind in season 3. I just wonder if the drama between Lady Danbury and Violet, if it's not resolved, will maybe be a hindrance to Colin's pursuit of Penelope potentially in season 3. But we'll see.
I feel like Bridgerton's going to further, or the writers are further going to explore the relationship between Pen and Jen, because that's such a big...
That'd be nice.
Yeah, that's such a big part of Pen's life at this point. And so, yeah, I think that Lady Danbury will maybe have some influence on Pen, but I don't know if it's necessarily going to be the same relationship like it is in the books. I think that they're going to maybe explore Pen and Jen a little bit more So
Yeah, I just have a really bad feeling that Lady Danbury isn't going to be part of Polin's story, which would be so sad, but I hope there'd be at least a nod towards it.
well, she gets involved in some way, so I feel like maybe she'll probably be more involved with Francesca and John.
Maybe, or maybe she'll do some part of the facilitating the drama with like the Lady Whistledown reward.
If the bounty rather than the reward comes from the Queen, and maybe Lady Danbury figures out it's Pen, maybe she'll try and help Pen.
Yeah, because like again, she's always there for everything with the Bridgertons going on. So even if there's strife between her and Violet, because there has been like issues between them even in Bridgerton the series. I know this is a little bit different because it's like you slept with my daddy, but whatever.
God help us.
I still think that, you know, Bridgerton does sometimes sweep those things under the rug. Yeah, you fell in love with my dad and you had sex with him. It's fine.
What is your ideal first interaction between Polin in the season? Now, I'm going to allow you to take interaction as one seeing the other. It doesn't have to be a moment where they both talk. It can be, you can interpret that how you like.
I think that just a classic cold shoulder. He's like, oh, Pen.
Yeah.
Hey, Pen. And she's like, hi, Colin.
Yeah.
Or hi, Mr. Bridgerton.
Yes. I have a suspicion that one of the first interactions will be Penelope is going to go over to Eloise to try and speak to her. In the very, because there is a filming leak and there are some crumbs that suggest this might be a thing. I think Penelope, Penelope, bear in mind, she might be done with Colin, but I think a part of her, when she gets back to Mayfair, is going to try one last ditch attempt at reaching out to Eloise. The way that she ran out after their fight. I think there's still part of her that wants to try one last time. Yeah. And I think she's going to go over to Elle. Elle is going to dismiss her brutally and like be like, that's that. Colin will be like peeking out from behind a bush or something. He'll just be there. Colin will be there and he'll be like, Pen. And we need something on Colin's face when he sees her unglowed up. We need something on Colin's face that's like, oh shit. That's when she doesn't really be horrible to him. She just brushes him off in a way that he could could rationalise it, but Mr. Bridgerton would really throw him.
I would also love to see in his eyes, like, even though she hasn't had her glow up yet, that there is just something different.
And he gave her that look at the start of series 2, and she did not. That was not her best look.
Yeah, we had her eyes.
True, yes.
Yeah, Luke Newton's really good at doing the like doe-eyed look. As we know, he's done a few of them before.
I want him to look at her like he looks at cake, and she's wearing the cake dress.
Or the look he gave her at the end of season 1, episode 8, where it was like, "Oh, it's you," you know, something like that, but a little bit less like tail between the legs and more like, "Oh, it's you," you know.
Hopefully, we're fingers crossed. The first actual interaction and loose interpretation will be when Colin returns home. We think he's going to look over at the Featherington house. I'm not saying that he can see her, but if that's the look he's giving the house that contains her, imagine the look he's going to give when he sees her. And I also hope that Penelope watches him and sees his return. I hope that he doesn't see her, but she's watching him from the window.
1,000%.
Yes, 100%, yeah.
Mm-hmm. She gets her little quill out and she goes, the biggest bitch is back in town.
Besides me.
And to follow on to that, how do you think their first kiss will play out? One of our listeners said, would it be sweet? Would it be passionate? Will it be a bit of a mix? Will it have drastically different implications for each character?
Oh my God, I just don't know.
Tense but sweet.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be like a play on the scene in the book where...
I hope so.
Yeah, where either she asks or he volunteers or something like that, where it starts out kind of like tentative and sweet and then just become kind of heated.
Right. Yeah. I don't think they're just going to be like, bam, I'm making out with you. I'm feeling your boobs.
Well, it will be like that later.
I think they'll each have a different experience of it. I think Pen, because remember, Pen is done with mixed signals. I think Pen will look at it from a very practical approach and be like, if you're actually my friend, help me out.
Right.
And then they'll kiss. There might be a moment in the kiss where she's like, what the fuck was that? And then afterwards she'll be like, no, that was helpful. Thank you very much. That was an education experience. And she's very cold and detached in how she approaches it. And if she felt something, she's really trying to push it down because she can't keep misinterpreting things with him. And then, and he said, you know, he's probably already agreed to find her husband at that point. So she's like, that's not on the cards.
Yes.
Whereas I want Colin, it to be exactly in the book where his life is ruined instantly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, a really sad one to consider. We were talking earlier about which family we'd like to spend time with. And someone asked a really interesting question. one of our listeners would like to know our thoughts on the two family dynamics. So the lack of warmth and unconditional love that Penelope suffered as a child versus the abundance of warmth and conditional love that Colin experienced. So what do you think of that? How do you think that shaped them as characters, and how do you think it's shaped their approach to love?
I think for a negative for Colin, and it talks about this in the books as well, is that he believes that love should happen quick, fast, like you're being struck by lightning, because it happened with his siblings, it happened with his parents. Kind of. His parents were a little bit slower.
He's grown up with that idea of love. Yeah.
And that love is so, when you love somebody, that's it. Everything is perfect. You know, everything works out as it should, because it does in his family.
Yeah.
Penn, on the other hand, I think is a positive of her not getting a lot of attention and love from her family is that she is now more aware how important it is to find someone who truly appreciates you. And so while she thinks that could be Colin, I think going into the future, she will realize, before she realizes Colin is actually in love with her, that she not only needs someone just to love her, but to appreciate her, and that sometimes you don't necessarily need love, but maybe companionship to get through a marriage.
Great point, Beans.
What you just said also reminded me that because of Marina, Penelope knows the negative repercussions of love, because Marina's love for George was almost like selfish, and she almost ruined the lives of several people because of her love.
And Penn has been burnt by her love for Colin.
Yes, that's true.
And I think that part of her has been, not permanently, but definitely has scarred her approach to how she sees things in season 3.
Yes.
She is more rooted in reality that love does not solve all, because at the end of the day, even if you do love somebody, there's still things like babies and war.
Whereas Colin, love is the magical solution to everything, because that's always been the balm in his family. I think when it comes to Colin and Penn, I think they have very different perspectives. And I think you're right that Penn is she's a romantic at heart, but she's a lot more practical than Colin. And I think she's a lot more cynical. We see that in Lady Whistledown. That is a very Featherington family side of her that she's grown up with and experienced and been exposed to. And I think the cynic of her comes out in her writing particularly. She is romantic, but she knows that love isn't unconditional, whereas Colin has only ever experienced within his family unconditional love. And I think within their family groups as well, Colin has this privileged position where he knows that no matter what happens, he always has a soft place to land within his family.
Yeah.
That is just taken for given, that no matter what he does, he knows his family aren't going to turn their backs on him. And he knows that love will, he might get like shouted at by Anthony or something, but he knows Anthony loves him and will back him up in the end, and they'll never cast him out. They overlook him sometimes because he's kind of lost in the chaos of everything.
Right.
But I think he doesn't ever doubt their love, whereas with Penelope and her family, I think all she's ever known is very conditional love, very contained love that isn't expressed in a healthy manner. I think Portia does love Penelope, but in an extremely unhealthy, unconstructive way that Penn has experienced that love. And I think Penelope thinks that she has to do things by herself, which is where the secretive side to her comes out, because there's a part of her who's been repressed and who she isn't allowed to be, that isn't welcomed. Anytime she's witty, anytime she has thoughts in her family, it gets pushed down and dismissed, and she's seen as invisible. And that's just such a contrast from the warm space that the Bridgertons give for Colin. But what you do have with Penelope is that she grew up with that family right across the road. It's not that she thinks love can only be the negative, conditional side that she's experienced, but she has seen what life can be like. I just think, in a way, she will think that that's just not for her.
Yeah.
That in season 3, she'll be like, that love does exist, and he will find that love with someone else. But that is not a love that I have ever known to be reciprocated back to me or would expect. This is such a good question. Which prop from the Bridgerton set would you most like to take home, and why? I love that question.
What would my answer be? It would not be the nightmare portraits.
Oh my god, I kind of would love this.
Luke Thompson wants that, and I'm kind of like, I don't think I've got a wall. I don't have a wall. I don't have a house at the minute. I kind of want that.
You know what? I'm a big fan of blankets and pillows, so I would take the biscuit
No,
cushion.
you are not. Do not take biscuit cushion from me. Get out.
There's 2 of them. You can have the bottom one.
No, but there's only one really, isn't there? That's the hero. God. Oh, no. You know what I'm going to take home? going to take home a carriage.
Oh.
A whole carriage. I would love a carriage in my garden.
A whole carriage.
Yeah.
Okay, now one of the Featherington dinners, they had like swan gravy boats or something.
Yeah, they do.
I would take those.
Aw.
Veg, what are you going to nick?
I would take the Penelope-esque doll from the playroom.
I do also love the teacups.
I wish I had a better answer than the biscuit cushion, because I'd also like something more permanent. And what if like the biscuit cushion falls apart? I'd like, because I feel like the gravy boat is a good answer, because the gravy boat's probably gonna last a long time.
Yeah,
Functional.
hell
You're thinking very practically, Lecky.
That's the Anthony coming out. I'm like, I want a carriage. We had a couple of questions about Colin and the Featherington estate, because we've made references before about Colin, quote unquote, inheriting or taking over the Featherington estate.
Uh-huh.
Can anyone explain how that would actually be possible, or would it go to the Polin firstborn son?
It would go to the son. I feel like when we call Colin Lord Featherington, it's just kind of an honorary title. It would be the firstborn son, I believe.
Yeah, so how it would work, we think, we're not experts on the baronies, but it would... Colin would be like a de facto caretaker of the estate, whilst until the son came of age, and then the son would inherit it through Penelope. So it wouldn't be Colin, it would be Thomas Bridgerton, Lord Featherington, or whatever. Will you read the episode descriptions before you watch the season?
Yeah, because that's how I am.
So on the day when it pops up, because I don't think they release these ahead of time, or they don't always, or for sex education they release like censored ones, but let's say on the day you click on to watch the season and we haven't seen the episode descriptions before, do you hold on to the last second and press play, or do you immediately read the descriptions?
I read the descriptions. Ooh. Because that's just what I do. I'm somebody who will read the Wikipedia as I'm watching the movie.
Do you like spoilers? Really?
No, I do that as well, Beans, but I wouldn't read the descriptions.
Yeah. Same. Yeah. I feel like I do like to emotionally prepare for things.
Yeah.
But I feel like for Polin, I might just not read it because I've been waiting so long.
Yeah, same here, Lecky. I feel the same.
I will. I get too excited about things.
If you know us, we love spoilers. We have dug out filming links to our heart's content. But I just think that last second, if it doesn't get released ahead of time, clicking on, just think if you've already committed to watching, just preserve it for the last few seconds. Also, I think I'd spiral by the episode descriptions.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if we get it a week or two in advance, I would 100% read the descriptions.
Oh, yeah. It's fair game. It's fair game if we get it ahead of time.
That's why I also usually wait to watch shows till like maybe a week or two after they're released so that I can read the Wikipedia.
Beans, you better not do that for season 3. You better be on hand on the day.
I don't know. I might wait 1 or 2 days.
See, yeah, I like happy endings, so I would do that for Game of Thrones. I needed to like emotionally prepare for whatever I was about to see.
I also skip to the last pages normally, but I think after so long in the fandom, I just think we just need to watch the fucking season for what it is.
Are you saying we turn to the final chapter first? Is that what you're saying?
I will be tempted, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch the last episode first.
No, because I actually think that is within me that is something I would do, is skip to episode 8 and like click a random point.
Yes,
I do shit like that all the time, and I don't know why I do it, because it really annoys me, because I have no it's like when we're watching Queen Charlotte, which granted I wasn't as emotionally invested in Queen Charlotte as I would be season 3. When we're watching Queen Charlotte, I just was picking random episodes and skipping. So I saw that entire conversation about hats with literally 0 context, and I was messaging you guys being like, there's a really tense scene about hats. I have no idea what's wrong with them. But they're really hungry. There's a part of me that genuinely suspects I'll skip.
I don't think I'm going to watch the last scene or the last episode, because I feel like I want to be in that moment. I'm probably going to cry, and like I want to be in that moment.
Probably going to cry. You're going to sob your little heart out.
Yeah, like I'm like already getting teary just thinking about it. So yeah, I probably won't do it.
And the last quick question before we delve into the deeper ones, do you think Colin's going to move out in season 3? Is he going to get his own place? Or is he going to still be in the Bridgerton residence?
No, I think he might get it. He's got this swagger. You know?
I also suspect just out of ease of having him near his siblings that can harass him all the time.
Yeah.
I think for story continuity, they'll just do him at home.
Also, how annoying would it be if he wasn't opposite? Like, the whole great tension is that they live opposite each other. There are so many cool moments that could come from them watching each other from their houses.
We all know that I like the setup that says that Penelope knows how to sneak into the Bridgerton house without being seen.
Yeah.
Colin's got to be there.
Yeah, Colin, get back in your bedroom. We need the yellow bedroom. We need the moment where she's like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
What episode do you think Colin will find out about Lady Whistledown, and do you think it will be like Romancing Mr. Bridgerton? So we had a few versions of this. So we had, if we think it's going to be the same, will it be at St. Bride's? Will it be after a ball? Will Penelope tell him? Will it completely be subverted? What do you think?
Well, Beans, could you remind us, Crumbs Queen, when it was that Nicola shared the black Instagram story with the tiny icon of a carriage?
The carriage.
It was in block 3.
Okay,
Yeah.
so 5 or 6.
Yeah, I think carriage 5, and then the mirror scene was 6. I think.
Yeah, and I do like how it works in the book of the carriage comes from him.
Finding out.
Realising she's Lady Whistledown, but that is quite late.
Well, I think that him finding out about her being Lady Whistledown is going to be the big pivotal dramatic plot, because we have to have a 5 and 6 drama like they did for each season, and I think that's what it'll be. It'll be like this moment of just like really big sexual tension but a lot of emotions where they don't know how to handle it. So yeah, it's gonna be probably a little later than halfway through the season.
We've also discussed the idea that he might find out about Lady Whistledown before their confrontation, or like I thought that would be nice because I do want to see his kind of clever, crafty side. So maybe we could get Colin finds out at the very end of episode 4, and then the carriage scene happens in episode 5.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So in terms of pacing with the previous seasons, I think what will happen is he'll find out at the very end of episode 4, and that'll be the cliffhanger. So in season 1, the cliffhanger of episode 4 was the duel, which was a huge moment, and then the proposal to Edwina, which is a huge twist within the episode 4. And I think for Colin, that big twist would be finding out Pen is Lady Whistledown. So I think right at the end, and then carriage in episode 5.
Both of those things happened after intense sexual moments too. It was Daphne and Simon kissing. Also the bee sting too. So it was
really it really builds up to a super tense moment.
Nicholas said that this season is going to be very, steamy, so they could have more kissing scenes beyond like their first kiss in carriage. There could be more scenes between those.
Yeah. And then carriage is when it ramps up. Yeah. As for how it will happen, I'm still holding on so tightly to, although I love St. Bride's and everything around that kind of imagery, I think it has to be they have really, really tense time at a ball. They have some sort of confrontation, or they have that built-up moment that you were describing, Beans. And then she slips out to deliver Lady Whistledown to a printers. Colin follows her, and it happens at night after a ball. That's my ideal setup.
Yeah, that precedent has been set that she does that.
That's what I think is going to happen, yeah.
Yes, and thanks to one of our listeners, we know that the printer is in season 3, and it looks like he's in multiple blocks. So yeah, it's definitely possible that she sneaks out, and he is part of that reveal also.
And then we get Irish Pen with Colin, which is all we're really after.
Please, 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 God.
And a similar question, but for a slightly different character. In which episode do you think Pen and Eloise will talk and reconcile, and will Eloise tell Colin that Pen is Lady Whistledown?
No, I don't think that Eloise will say anything.
Yeah.
Colin's going to find out on his own.
Yeah.
I think Eloise and Pen are going to make up till towards the end of the season.
I was going to say episode 7, maybe, for a reconciliation.
That's such a long time.
Because I feel like the penultimate episode that Eloise friendship might be needed to help resolve whatever other drama is happening before the final episode.
Yeah. Well, we know my theory is I believe she's going to be friends with Cressida. I know a lot of people don't like that. If they do the blackmail thing.
Yeah.
Because I think that Elle could find out beforehand that Cressida knows and be the one to warn Pen.
Or Elle could make a mistake.
Yes. That's how Cressida finds out that it's Pen.
I think Elle might make a mistake and slip up completely. I don't think Elle has any intention. I think Claudia Jessie has said this, that yes, Eloise is mad. She's really angry and she feels betrayed, but she has no intention of ever betraying Pen. She wants to be a good friend and she'll stick to that.
Yeah.
I don't think I don't think she'd tell Colin. I think if Colin accuses Elle, she might be super pissed off about it and make some sort of snappy comment about him that makes him be like, what?
Yeah.
About like looking right in front of him.
I really like that.
Or he'll tangentially bring up Pen and she'll be like, But I really like your idea, Beans, about her coming in episode 7, because as well, this is about their happy endings and it's about blocks their happy endings. And I just really don't believe that Penelope and Colin can have their happy ending without Peneloise being reconciled. I'm not saying their relationship will go back to exactly how it was. I think they both need to have had time and wait, and they're going to enter a new phase of their friendship where they'll be sisters above anything. Yeah. But I think there'll be an issue like the blackmail, which I think if Eloise maybe has let something slip or put Pen in a situation where she's particularly vulnerable, completely unintentionally, that then Eloise will come in, because I maintain it's the scene that always really sticks with me when I think about Penelope and Eloise and the difficulties in their friendship and the way they find their way back to each other. I always think about that scene where they've been estranged, but Penelope turns up in her back garden, heartbroken over something. She doesn't even tell Eloise why she's crying, but Eloise immediately rushes over and consoles her friend. I think if that happened, if Pen was in that much danger or was in that much hurt, I think that would overcome anything, because I think a lot of their block, but a lot of the distance is going to come from Eloise's anger that she's still going to hold on to. But I also think it needs to be later in the season, because we can only have Polin really hanging out together if Eloise isn't around to block them all the time.
I really like the idea of Elle accidentally letting it slip, and this is why, because it just seems so in line with her character. I feel like that's one of the reasons Penelope never confided in Eloise in the first place, that she just kind of, she just talks and talks, and it would have just slipped out. And I feel like as mad as Elle is at Pen, she wouldn't deliberately reveal that, but there's a very high chance she could accidentally let it slip, especially if she's the person she's been talking to, she knows them well, or if it is Cressida. I don't
think we think that Eloise would just slip it into conversation like, oh, Lady Whistledown, you mean my old best friend Pen? Oh, fuck.
No, it would be like a tangent, or maybe she's making like a joke or something, and it accidentally
it just comes out. And then, that's the way that they find their way back to each other, because that would give Eloise the perspective of sometimes you can make mistakes, or sometimes you can choose the wrong option when you think you're protecting a friend. Yeah. And that'll be a learning lesson for Eloise as well.
Right.
On the topic of Eloise, someone said, do you think Eloise was a bad friend to Penelope? We've commented a lot, especially last season, that Eloise doesn't always listen to Penelope, or she sometimes assumes that Penelope thinks the same as she. But do you think that makes Eloise a bad friend?
I don't think either of them are bad friends. They've just both made mistakes.
Yeah, I think that they've made poor decisions on when they are trying to protect their friends, or each other, I mean. It's just, the intention was great, the action was not. Yeah. And I don't think that necessarily makes them, like, bad friends. I think it just makes them
flawed.
Yes, exactly. And I think they both need to be better about communicating with each other.
Yes, and being honest with each other.
It's just hard, being completely honest sometimes, especially if you're afraid how your friends are going to react to it, because both of the girls' passions blew up in their faces a little bit. Pen and Eloise had that big blowout when Eloise found out about Lady Whistledown. Who's to say, especially from what she'd been hearing from Eloise, like how Lady Whistledown fucks things up and her gossip and everything. So, she was probably just as scared to talk to Eloise about Lady Whistledown as Eloise was to share some of the other things she was doing while she was seeing Theo and stuff.
And I think their age has a lot to play with it, because they've been friends for a really long time. And I think everyone's experience at that age in particular, sort of your late teens as you're moving into young adulthood, we've all had friends that we've grown up with. And there is a point, I think that age in particular, where it's where you either grow together or you grow apart, because you figure out that you don't see the world the same way. It's such a natural part of friendship. This is the way I see the world. And I think the beauty of Pen and Elle is they need this break between them to go off and to really figure themselves out as individuals. And the beauty is that they're going to come back as friends again. Yeah. Having evolved, I think they both need that evolution to be the true friends that they're going to be for the rest of their lives. Yeah. But I don't think I think they're just both growing, and they're so young that it was just them figuring things out, and they've both made mistakes, but they're going to grow from them. Oh, a cute question. The style and shape of Penelope's wedding dress.
Oh, and this was very well hidden in filming.
It was. If it exists, it was very, very well hidden. It's a bit of an urban legend.
A-line? I think she'd look at an A-line.
Yeah, I've watched a lot of Say Yes to the Dress. A-line, chiffon.
I just hope it's beautiful.
Maybe some bows?
No
bows.
Fuck off.
Wedding is a bow-free zone.
I always think that Pen's personal style is super elegant, super classic, but with like a slightly romantic, almost fairy tale twist to it. The outfits that we know she's really chosen, if we think about Vauxhall, that was her choice, and it was quite a young look because she was still really little back then. But it was really beautiful, really elegant. But there was something almost like woodland creature about it, like fairy tale-esque. And I'd really like to see her in something super floaty and simple and beautiful, but with this slight twist to it. Yeah. But I think a lot of her wedding dress depends on I don't want to talk about my theories too much, but
talk about your theories. Where the fuck else are you going to talk about your theories?
After I've just done nothing else for an hour and a half.
So what's your theory?
I still have a sneaky feeling that there is something about the wedding that's off.
Yeah, I can't abide that.
If it is their wedding,
no, I agree.
I think there's something about it that Penelope won't be happy about.
It's not that she what I think the dress is going to look like.
Go for it. Go for it, Beans.
You know the Keira Knightley white dress? I think that they're gonna do something like that.
Which show?
Like that's simple and
What
cute.
Keira Knightley dress?
The Keira Knightley dress from Pride and Prejudice, 2005.
Oh.
Oh, when her hair has got the...
Yeah, something like that.
Huh.
We saw Pen's wedding hairstyle though.
What was it?
Curls. Tight curls.
Right, okay, my theory, I'll quickly say it. My theory is if there is something going dodgy with the wedding where Pen isn't happy about it for whatever reason, her dress and her hair will reflect that she's not happy and that she's been put in a situation. So her hair will be tightly curled and her dress won't be favourite. And if she's happy to be there, it'll be really romantic and soft and pretty. But I think Jenna's got a lot of groundwork to make up.
I hate this.
Yeah, I don't agree with that because it's episode 8.
Could be episode 7 with drama.
I hate this because when you were there, you said that her curls looked tighter than normal, and tight curls on Pen means like Portia influence, and I don't.
Why is the wedding so big for a third born?
Yeah, right, exactly, Obs. It did seem quite gaudy. There were a lot of like flowers and
it was a
arches
yes, the style. I mean, it was beautiful.
It did say Portia.
It is unusual
I don't know,
that they are having such a big wedding,
It
considering
is.
it's the Featheringtons. But
And
I
we've
don't.
said dream sequence, maybe.
Could be a dream sequence.
Just a lot of work for a dream sequence, though, isn't it? At that late in the game.
There's something weird going on, isn't there?
I don't know. This is gonna be the one time where I'm like not being cynical Sally and just be like,
I just want it to be happy too.
yeah, it's probably gonna be beautiful. It's so late in the season. Like, I'm sure that Portia's gonna pull some shit, but I think that like it's far too late for them to have anything super crazy happening. I personally feel like they probably had everything pinned up, and maybe because they do have them wearing those nets before they go into shoot, and they do touch-ups when they're on set. So it might have been, because we saw that with Luke too, they might have had some of those pins in the wig, in the hair, and then they're looser when she got there. You know, I don't doubt that Portia will do something, but I am not as cynical as you guys. I think that it'll be a lovely wedding.
Here's another point about this. Tom Verica, when he was speaking about the episodes he filmed, and he did 7 and 8, didn't he say something about how it's kind of like Pen and Colin?
It was how they move through the world.
Yeah, they move through the world together.
Yeah.
So that does give us hope that their wedding could be happy, because I think by 7 and 8, they're together.
Can I just ask you a question? Have any of you ever watched a TV show by a little production company called Shondaland?
Yeah, correct. And why would they make it
Yes,
so big
but-
if it was just going to be a
Go away.
little-
Because it's Portia! Because it's Portia!
Yeah, but functionally, what is a happy wedding scene going to look like? If it's a massive wedding and it's happy and there's no drama, what's going to happen? That we just sit there, we take 10 minutes out of the episode to watch them say their vows? Like,
Well,
cute,
I
but
mean, I feel like
I don't see it.
I feel like they might revert back to more of the comedy thing towards
Can you
the
believe there were a point where we're like, I don't want to sit and watch a happy wedding for 10 minutes.
To piggyback on Beans, I feel like all the Featherington redheaded extras, there is like comedy in that. And then we know
Yeah,
Portia wants a
yeah.
spectacle. So if there's this huge wedding and there's just a shit ton of redheads running around, I feel like
Exactly.
that could be funny.
Maybe Pen and Colin are so wrapped up in their happiness that they're in their own bubble and they don't care about how it looks.
I think that Pen is going to give Portia the wedding that Portia wants, because her and Colin are together and they're happy. I think her and Colin will maybe have a private moment together that'll be really sweet that they can have just on their own. But ultimately, like, Portia is going to want to show the fuck off that her family is marrying into the Bridgertons. That's why I think it's going to be so big, because she's going to be ringing up every fucking Featherington from here to Timbuktu.
Yep.
Like, I think it's going to be a Portia wedding, and Pen is just going to give it to her because
She's getting her happy ending. She doesn't
yeah,
care.
exactly. I know it's Shondaland, but Shondaland's going to pull much more fucking shit earlier in the season. We know she is. And as we know, Shondaland has committed to giving us happy fucking endings, so I think any blip is going to be like familial stuff. Anthony's going to roll his eyes at something Portia does. Prudence and Philippa are going to be like bonding with the cheese man. Or Prudence and Dankworth are going to do some stupid shit, too. Like, I don't think it's going to be super over the top.
Remember, the happy ending is only for the last 5 minutes, though.
Yes, the epilogue.
I know, but I don't think it's going to be, like, super over dramatic,
Just let us hope. We'll deal with our disappointment later.
I think both of us both sides of it probably think roughly the same, but Obs and I are very much self-preserving.
There's such like an international division here.
It's like we want to be pleasantly surprised, and you guys are more like it makes you happy to be hopeful.
I think that's the British cynicism versus
Maybe.
the American dream, the optimism.
Damn, propaganda's working. No, I'm not saying it's like, I feel like it's just gonna be like regular family bullshit, like when you're at a wedding, you know?
But episode 7 and episode 8 are
I
stressful.
feel we have a rift in the podcast. Thank you for whoever asked that question. You have destroyed our relationships.
I think the original question was, what do you think Pen's wedding dress will look like?
I know, and I tried to answer it 5 times.
See, this is A, why we formed a podcast, and B, like, obviously why our lives are ruined. We just can't stop talking about Paula, and it just goes and goes on. Oh, God.
I really love that I tried to answer the question by saying what dress I liked to the point where I had to yell, and then you guys, your reaction was like, oh, okay. It's like, cool. Just made an ass out of myself for no reason.
We're just a teensy bit passionate about Polin.
No need to shout, Beans. We agree.
I'm so sorry, Beans.
Quick fire question. If you could see a 15-second clip from any part of the first 3 episodes, what are you choosing? The coming weeks have finally arrived. That magical clip arrives.
Wait, did you say 15 seconds?
15, yeah,
15 seconds.
15 seconds. We're not lucky enough to get a whole minute, babe. We're not even lucky enough to get a second yet. So
Oh.
15 seconds.
Courage.
What are you picking?
Courage.
No,
Courage.
first 3 episodes.
No.
Oh, fuck. Kiss. First
Yeah.
kiss.
Like, first kiss.
Picture we got, leaning down picture, full length.
Oh, yes.
But we're not going to get it.
Kiss.
So
No.
Okay, so I'll side with Veg and I'll say the near kiss in episode 2.
Near kiss.
Because we're going to get that tension, and we have not seen that tension yet from
Yeah.
Polin, and I feel like that'd be a really great tease.
You're all going to be so mad at me for my answer.
Oh, God damn it.
We already have a divide.
You're going to be mad because we already have like all the context for it, and I just want to see it. I just want to see Colin return home. Like I just want to see the
do
actual
want to
clip.
see that too.
And I know that I would waste our clip on something we've already seen.
I do highly suspect that will be one of the first things we see because we've already seen it like a billion times, and they don't want to give us anything new, and it perfectly sets up their season.
Beans, what are you saying?
I said the same thing as Veg.
Quick fire with no explanation. Who is going to know about Lady Whistledown by the end of the season?
Colin.
You fucking better.
Yeah, probably.
If we haven't even got Colin across the line,
I was gonna say, okay, Colin, Anthony, Kate, Violet, Benedict.
Bridgerton's for me.
Colin and the older Bridgertons.
Yeah.
Yes, except for maybe Fran.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe Fran might be so swept up in her romance with John that she isn't party to that information.
I think Portia will know.
Portia's reaction to Polin. Do you think she's going to be surprised? Do you think she's seen it coming? Will she be supportive? Will she be a hindrance?
She's gonna be surprised.
I think she'll be surprised.
Book reaction, I think.
And I think she could go either way with Colin, you know? I don't know. She's such a dark horse for me.
I think she is going to be surprised because I do want to get that scene from the book. I don't know how they're going to adapt it.
Yeah, it's so comedic. Do you think Penelope would pass on Lady Whistledown to Eloise or Hyacinth or someone else? Or do you think Pretty Little Liars style, it will be taken up by someone else?
No.
I don't want it to be, because I want Lady Whistledown to be her thing.
Maybe in future seasons, maybe she could pass it on, like when they're getting into like the the Hyacinth era or something.
But we're not there.
And Nicola has said this too, I think, in an interview, that she doesn't want Penelope to give up Lady Whistledown. And I think I'd be disappointed if that happened.
Yeah. Same.
She just needs to transform how she uses it, I think.
Right.
It's not that she can't be Lady Whistledown, it's just there's a new phase of what she can do and how she can reconcile her identity.
Yeah.
And the big question, not who do we want to be season 4, but who do we think will be season 4?
Benedict.
Yeah, Benedict.
I really think it will be Benedict because I don't think it makes sense for it to be Eloise.
Yeah.
If we follow. I think what will happen is Benedict will see his baby brother grow up and get married, and it will make him have a bit of an existential crisis about his own role and his own life.
And then the same thing with Eloise.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so in the books, Eloise partially was motivated to go and pursue her own life and get married because she felt left behind without Pen and Colin.
Yeah.
Because she was closest to them two. But I think it will change her life, Pen and Colin being married, but she'll still have Benedict as the
Yes.
link at home for her, that sense of normality, and that she'll still connect to.
Yeah.
And I think if Benedict marries and she loses that, then she would be left at home with only Hyacinth and Gregory. Everyone else would be gone.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that would be the motivation I think Eloise would need to then go and start her story.
Yes, 100%.
Last little lighthearted one before we almost wrap up. Which lesson are you most looking forward to watching Colin try to teach Penelope?
I was gonna say flirting, but I think something that would be even more hilarious if he's trying to teach her, like, why she shouldn't let men, like, take advantage of her or, like, be too close to her. He's like, you can't...
Take liberties with her. And he's like...
Yeah.
Can you imagine a scene where he's like, Pen, he like sits down next to her. He takes her hands in his.
Yes.
He looks into her eyes.
Yes.
He just brushes away a curl and he goes, Pen, this is incredibly important. You listen to me. You cannot let a man take liberties. And she's like, what do you mean? He's like, let me explain it to you. He may not call you by your first name. You can't let him call you by your first name. You must never let him write secret notes to you. You must never sit too close to him on a sofa. Just complete disconnect between what he's saying and what he's doing.
Just everything he's doing. Yes.
But Colin...
Would love it.
What if he wants to take me out onto the veranda so we can have a conversation about oranges?
And he's like, well, let's discuss this over here. And he takes her by the hand and takes her to the veranda.
Yeah. Let's go somewhere quieter, Pen, for this conversation.
But Colin, what if he signs off my dance cards with just his name only?
Well, let me take a look at your dance card, Pen. And
Riffs it up.
Oh, one day. So those are most of the questions. We tried to get through as many as we could, but just to finish it off, we had quite a few questions about promo and when we might expect to get something. As we know, the SAG-AFTRA strike is still ongoing at the moment, so that's obviously the priority. We really don't know how that's going to affect things like release date or promo.
Right, yeah.
It's just a complete unknown at the moment.
But it's looking good. I mean, there's hope for sure.
It's looking hopeful. Someone has said, once the strikes have both been resolved, do you think they will stick to their original release date or the suspected original release date of December 14th? Or do we think they're going to space it out?
It looks like they're doing that with the programs that Netflix specifically, it looks like they've been rolling them out even with the strike happening, so I don't think it's going to change their schedule now.
I think what's interesting about Bridgerton is that they've announced things for other seasons, but there's just something, I think they may be just not quite sure themselves and they're just waiting to see how things go a little bit.
I think so too.
Because the problem is we don't know how much content the streamers already have and we don't know what their plans originally looked like.
You're talking about content in terms of other shows. So yeah, their calendar for next year might be kind of thin. So they may delay it, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
That's what I'm worried about.
And I still think that they had Queen Charlotte as the Bridgerton for this year. And with the way that production's going, there's no chance really that season 4 would be released next year. We honestly have no idea though. And we're just hoping that the strikes get resolved. But the very last question that we'll take today is just about the podcast itself. As someone on Instagram has asked, what are you planning after the rewatch of season 2?
So I think we were sort of hoping that we'd be near season 3 by the point that we got to the end of season 2. But we definitely will be doing a season 3 rewatch. We know that. And we do have plenty of ideas.
You need to get there first.
Yeah, we have ideas to fill the time.
We have ideas. We'll probably depending on when it's released, we'll probably maybe do production episodes.
Yes, we've still got 4 of those.
Yeah, we need to do our Crumbs episodes.
And then, we'll do reactions to whatever we get from trailers, etc., etc. And so we'll figure things out.
I think that's what we're most excited about.
Yeah.
But the Crumbs episodes, there's a lot to pack in. We've got everyone's eyes on the grounds, Beans' expertise. So those are ones we're really excited about. You saw the pre-production Crumbs. It's just going to be that, but for each block.
Yeah, and if we need to, we'll stretch it out as much as we can. But we got a couple of things up our sleeves, and we'll see what happens. And I think the other thing too is when we do a rewatch for season 3 or we talk about it, it's going to be different because we'll probably end up talking about more of the plot too. So
do you know what I'm going to spend most of my time during the rewatch doing? I'll be like, oh, that was Rest Park.
Yes.
I'm like, that window there. I saw that window in the filming leaks. It's not going to be anything to do with Pen and Colin. They'll be like having love confessions.
We've discussed this. This is one of my greatest fears.
Why? Yes. I love that shit. I love being able to identify stuff like, oh my god, that was filmed there. I knew that.
No, I want to be in the moment. And my greatest fear is I'm going to be watching something and I'm going to be like, I found that window on Google.
Yeah. We've spoiled ourselves.
Oh my god.
But yeah, just to kind of to sum up that question, once we've done our season 2 rewatch, it completely depends on if we get any information after the strike. But we have plans either way. But the episodes we're so looking forward to are similar to our To Dumb episodes.
Yeah,
where
that'd be
we'll
fun.
Yeah.
live reacting to hopefully things like posters, trailers, clips. This is what we are living for.
Right.
So we'll see you there and we can fill in the space as needed. And then maybe just the last question then. What's your greatest fear or crackpot theory for season 3? What dark demon resides deep in your Polin soul that you fear or wish to embrace?
Colin is ostracized. Pen is burnt at the stake.
Yeah.
That was on my wish list. What are you talking about? I think we've switched.
Yeah, that he's gonna become a soldier and die, and then Pen marries Debling anyway. Even though I'm totally a Debling Pen.
You're a penling, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm a Polin overall.
Oh, no, I've got my answer.
What's your answer?
Okay.
I've got my answer for biggest fear because I think it might happen.
Okay.
Opening sequence of episode 1. A montage of Colin sleeping around Europe.
Oh, God, yeah.
Whilst Pen's at home crying. That's something that could actually happen.
Yeah.
No.
And that is something we all genuinely need to fear because I can see it in my head.
No, it's a romance. It doesn't make sense to have him sleep around right before he falls in love with his forever partner. It just doesn't make sense.
But Anthony did.
Yeah, also because Colin's not gonna be the rake. He's gonna be the first main lead that's not a rake.
Yeah, we all believe in Virgin Colin.
Maybe not virgin, but not a rake.
But there is a part of my soul that I think it's because I can see the montage in my head.
I don't care. I just don't want to see him sleeping around right before he falls in love with Pen.
Sure.
Yeah.
I want Pen to be on his mind during his travels, not other women.
My biggest fear is that Colin won't suffer enough.
Oh.
For fuck's sake. And join us next week as we sadly lose a host and we become the holy trinity of podcasts.
Okay. No, my opposite of that. My biggest fear is that Pen is gonna have like more upsetting moments. Like I want her to be smooth sailing from here on out.
The Pen Dwasufir.
Yeah.
Well, I thought we were going to end this on a really cheerful, happy, optimistic question, but to be honest, I think it's perfectly fitting that we end with our deepest fears because it's a state we've been existing in for a year and a half now, and why would we change tune now?
Oh, and there was one more question, Obs, you've missed from one of our lovely listeners,
Was
and
there?
indeed from all of us.
Yes.
Obs, how are you?
Oh God, I'm never gonna get rid of that now, am I? I'm
deserve
fine,
it.
thank you, Veg. Thank you so much for asking, and thank you to my good friend who asked that. I know who you are, and I'm glad that you take an interest, dear friend, because these three are neglectful. They just edit out their neglect.
Obs, bon voyage.
Yeah, talking about 3 hosts, girl. You out of here.
I'll go set up my own. That's fine. It'll be called.
It will be called Obs's Observations, a Polin podcast without those other people.
Obs's Observations. And my podcasting will be called the Observatory.
Oh, that's cute.
You know what? Actually, I like this. Bye. See you later. But there we go. We made it. Sorry for rambling. We just thought we'd mix it up a little bit for a mid-season break. Hopefully we've answered some of your questions. If we didn't answer your questions, or if there is something you want to speak to us about, please come chat with us on Instagram. We are like this all the time.
Yes.
Not just on the pod. So
yes, it's embarrassing.
if you'd like to be shouted at, like we shouted at Beans, come on over to the Instagram. Any final thoughts?
Yes, if you would like to join the Colin doit souffrir fan club, I believe there are still some people
Get
interested.
out.
We had some comments. Let me know.
You can sign up in my comments on TikTok, and that's the extent of your membership plan, and that's where you go to chat. Apparently,
Membership fee is 3 carats.
So join us next week as we continue our Polin rewatch of season 2. But in the meantime, where can everyone find us, Lecky?
you can find us at What a Barb Pod on Instagram and TikTok.
And there are lots and lots of Polin fans over on reddit.com/r/Polin. Bridgerton.
Bridgerton.
Thank you very much. And so all that's left to say is, Beans, can you see us out?
Das Violin. Do 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 do. Do 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 do.